Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Urban Review, brought to you by the Center for Urban Youth and Family Development. And we are the agency that is dedicated to youth that are in and transitioning out of the foster care system. As you know, we always work to provide some character for our young people and some keys to life. And our first key to life is character, to have manhood. And then our second key to life is to get a good education. Our third key to life is to have perseverance and to not be a quitter. And our fourth key to life is to be uplifting and lifting while you climb your ladder of success. And then you take character plus education plus perseverance and uplift, and you multiply them times, first of all, friendship. And you've got to have a good, strong network. It's not all about what you know. Sometimes it's who you know. And then the next thing is love. And you've got to be able to love yourself before you can love anybody else. And last but not least, you need to know the truth. And we believe that the truth is the Word of God, and that is no matter where it comes from. If you're a Christian, it comes from the Holy Bible. If you're a Muslim, it comes from the Quran. If you're Jewish, it comes from the scrolls. If you're Hindu, it comes from the Tao, but it's the Word of God. So if you take character plus education plus perseverance and uplift, and you multiply it times friendship, love, and truth, you'll get the three things that everybody wants out of life, and that's peace, happiness, and prosperity. Well, over the last few months, we have been promoting and programming things that are being done by the Center for Urban Youth and Family Development. And the first thing I'd like to do is give a shout out to my friends over at Consortium College Prep. Earlier last month actually, we had on Mr. Caleb Gaddis, who is one of the residents of the Center for Urban Youth and Family Development, and he's also on the varsity basketball team over at Consortium College Prep. And their team went 21-1 this year. They won their league championship for the first time in history, and they only lost their one game to the mighty River Rouge in the district state playoffs. So a shout out to all of the young people over at Consortium College Prep and to all of the young men on the varsity basketball team. The next thing we'd like to mention is that this month, the month of March, is Parenting Month. So make sure that you go on the web and take a look at parenting and some of the parenting skills that are available and the resources that are available to help you be a good, strong, and even a better parent. Another thing that I want to mention is that we're coming up to the end of March, and the end of March will be the deadline for all of our youth to get in their Grow Detroit Young Talent summer job application. And if you would like a summer job, working here in the city of Detroit with the Grow Detroit Young Talent Program, make sure that you go online and go to gydt.com, and you will be able to fill out an application. The Center for Urban Youth and Family Development, as always, will have a summer youth employment program, and this year we will be partnering with the Grow Detroit Young Talent Program. So if you want to be employed with us, you'll have to fill that application out first. So go online, gdyt.com, and fill out your application. The next thing I'd like to mention is that the Center for Urban Youth and Family Development is doing suicide prevention and QPR trainings. And QPR is question, persuade, and refer. And this is a suicide prevention training program that is available for anyone throughout the Wayne County. We are presenting these trainings for free. And if your organization is interested in having us come out to do a suicide prevention QPR training, just give us a call at 313-340-3101 and schedule an opportunity for us to come out and do a workshop on question, persuade, and refer suicide prevention training. Once again, that number is 313-340-3101. Another thing I'd like to mention is that we have our upcoming Evening of Jazz and Soul Part 2, or we're calling it 2.0. And that is going to take place on April the 27th at 7 o'clock p.m. at the beautiful Charles H. Wright Museum and their wonderful and lovely General Motors Theater. The tickets are only $20, and you can go to the Center for Urban Youth and Family Development website, which is cuyfddetroit.com, and you will be able to get a ticket. Also, you can go to our Facebook page, and that's Facebook/CUYFD, and you can there's a link there for you to buy tickets. to see Miss Mashawn Young, outstanding jazz performer. If you like Anita Baker, then you'll like Mashawn Young. The tickets are only $20, and that's on April the 27th at 7 o'clock p.m. at the Charles H. Wright Museum. And you can also go on their website and look to get more information about that event. Last but not least, I'd like to invite everybody out to come and play in our 9th annual Prostate Cancer Survivors Golf Outing, which will take place August the 17th at the wonderful Idlewild Golf Course in Livonia, Michigan. And once again, go to the website of the Center for Urban Youth and Family Development. That's CUYFDdetroit.org, and you will be able to find out information about the golf outing as well. And last but not least, if you're interested in possibly becoming a guest on our show, if you have a new CD or a new album, or if you're a young entrepreneur with a new business and you'd like to talk about what's going on, if you're a youth that is in or transitioning out of the foster care system and you'd just like to come on the show and tell your story, we're available. Just give us a call at 313-340-3101. Now, we have coming up for you on the show two very special guests. If you've been watching this show, you know that our key and lead sponsor is Avis Ford, and we have coming up right after this commercial the proprietors of Avis Ford, Mr. Edmund Douglas and Mr. Mark Douglas. So we'll be right back after this message, and we'll be right back with our guests. Thank you for watching Urban Review.
You will love your Avis Ford, because at Avis Ford, we make it easy to get you your no money down monthly payment right over the phone. We call it Shop by Phone, and it's the best way we know to get you your payment options fast. You want leather and a sunroof? How about an upgrade to all-wheel drive? Just give us a call.
You'll love it.
Shop online, shop by phone, or visit us at Telegraph at 12 Mile. Call 1-800-SHOP-FORD.
Hey, welcome back to Urban Review, and we are here today with two very special guests, the proprietors of Avis Ford. We have with us Mr. Mark Douglas and Mr. Edmund Douglas. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thanks for having
And,
me.
How are you? Thanks for having us today.
We're glad to have you, and I have in my hand a copy of the book of your father, and it is a wonderful book. It's called The Activist Entrepreneur, and it's his autobiography or his biography, and it tells the story of his life and his launching of Avis Ford. But I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to give us a little background. So I'll start with you, Edmund. Tell us about your father moving to Detroit. I think it was in 1966, right before the rebellion, as it's called.
That's correct. We also have an older sister who's not in the business, but she and I were both babies when we moved here in 1966. Matter of fact, I was just reliving some of that with my dad. I saw him last week. We were down in Florida, and we were talking about it, and he asked me, did I remember anything about when we moved to Detroit? And I was 3 years old. I think I remember the airplane ride a little bit,
Okay.
some things, but overall, yes, we moved here in 1966 because he worked for the IRS in
Right.
Washington, D.C.
Internal Revenue.
And
right.
they built a new data center here in Detroit, Michigan, and
Okay.
they sent him up here to help work in that facility. And there, once he was there, he met a gentleman by the name of Lawrence Doss,
Okay.
and like you said, it was right before the riots, and as a result, after the riots, Urban Coalition New Detroit was formed
Right.
to help rebuild the city and to provide some opportunities for businesses, especially minority business, after the riots. And Larry Doss went over there to be his president, and my dad went and became the vice president.
Right. Right.
And so many years he went on to eventually become the president of New Detroit, before he decided that he wanted to go into from the nonprofit sector, and so he went from government to nonprofit then he decided to go into the profit sector.
Right.
And he entered the Ford dealer training program.
Right, and I think that was kind of a high pressure situation because, as part of being part of New Detroit, he was helping merge community members with businesses to become entrepreneurs and to become business leaders. And all of a sudden, he found himself in a position to kind of have to practice what he was preaching.
Right.
Okay, now you got a business. Let us see you walk the talk.
Right, and and to be honest, it had to be a very scary time because, when you completed the training through these programs, you didn't necessarily know where you were going to end up. I mean,
Okay.
it's all about where the opportunity presented itself.
Right.
You could say, I don't know, the moon and the stars aligned for him and made Avis Ford available when he was in a position to buy. And I guess, and that would be, one of the great things is that he was in a position
Right.
when the opportunity presented itself. So
Right, and
it's very important to, he had prepared.
Right,
So-
and one of the doctrines that we teach the young people during the summer is that there really are the true definition of luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So the lucky break means nothing if
Right.
you're not prepared to take advantage of that opportunity when it comes your way.
Absolutely. I can remember I was finishing school at the time, and he was asking me, well, when do you think you're going to be done? Because I don't know what's going to happen. We may, we could end up in some small town in Kentucky.
Right,
we just
right.
don't know. And so, but unfortunately, we know how that story ended at this point, and it was just, he was fortunate, and like you said, he was prepared, and I guess you could say the rest is history.
Right, and one of the things that a lot of our viewers may not be aware of is that when Mr. Douglas made the purchase or the initial acquisition, he was actually buying Avis Ford from Warren Avis, who was the founder of Avis Rent-A-Car. So that was a really high-profile acquisition.
Correct.
Yeah, and so Mark, can you tell us a little bit about what happened after the acquisition? What was the next phase?
Well, again, like you said, it was a little bit of luck, a lot of preparation, and a lot of opportunity. So what really ended up happening there was it was sort of a 5-year process
Okay.
that they had to go through because obviously Mr. Avis was in a position to receive some capital for a business that wasn't really doing that well at the time, and in the event that my father say didn't work out or the opportunity didn't work out, he would get the dealership right back, so
Okay,
to speak.
okay.
And but at the same time receive a pretty sizable lump sum of money. And because what can happen with these stores is when you initially buy in, if the store doesn't make money, you can technically lose your equity position.
I understand.
So that's what I'm not going to say he was sort of banking on, but ultimately that didn't happen.
Okay.
We really came in. We really were able to turn things around.
Fantastic.
Really get Avis, up and humming like it needed to be at that time. We've always been at least a top 10 dealer in the Metro Detroit area, but we've also been a top 100 dealer in the
Right,
country, which
right.
is out of all 4 dealers
Right, and I think
worldwide.
you guys were the #1 dealer for Black Enterprise a couple of
Well,
years. Or
Not exactly #1. We were chosen as Dealer of the Year
Okay,
back in 2010.
Yeah.
But one thing we can say definitively, as a Ford, when it comes to Ford retail, we are the largest Black-owned Ford dealership.
That's phenomenal.
That's
That is
it.
phenomenal.
And it's interesting how that happened. There was one year where we did really well. We were as high as 11 in the nation for all dealers. And a gentleman asked me one day, he said, well, how many of those in front of you are black? And it had never really dawned on me. But I said, wow, none. And and it was because we've never really thought of ourselves as a black dealer. We just want to consider ourselves to be a dealer that happens to be black.
Right. Okay.
So,
okay.
So with that, at the end of the 5-year period, we were able to purchase out Warren Avis, and that's when my father got majority stock ownership. And
That's phenomenal.
and again, the rest is sort of history from there.
That's tremendous. That's tremendous. And as you look at history and look at the high level of competitiveness in the auto industry and with dealers, even within the same manufacturer family and so forth, I know that going through the years has been a tremendous journey. And I'm sure that one of the high points of that journey was during the Great Recession of 2008 through 2010. Can you reflect on that period a little bit?
well, I'm sure Edmund will have some points to add as well. But one of the main things I think we learned was that because it really hit Detroit a little earlier than
Yes.
2008, we probably felt it more in 2006. And what we really realized was, even though you make a little money, you really don't have any money.
Yeah, okay.
Because what ends up happening is you have to always be reinvesting in your business.
Yes, yes.
And we weren't able to do a very good job of that. Part of it was based on the way we were forced to buy the store, because if you've got debt, you've got to retire the debt.
Mm-hmm.
So we never really were able to just grow the cash position, or the working capital, as it's called. So what we realized then in that 05, 06 time frame was that we need to really get our business healthy. And so as things started to turn to our favor, we began to really just pour everything we earned right back into the store to make sure that the store was healthy. And at that time, I believe, working capital, you wanted to be at 100% of guide. We went as low as about 89, 85%. Well, now I can proudly say we're comfortably, well over 150% of what the
that's
guide
tremendous.
is. And that's just solely been from discipline and realizing that, you're your best asset in terms
Right.
of investing.
Okay.
Where are you going to invest your money?
Okay.
I was just gonna add, and with the success also comes failures, because prior to 2008, we had an opportunity to build and purchase a Jag and Land Rover franchise in Toledo, which I went to go run in 2006.
Okay.
And I left Avis Ford, and it didn't work. Along with the successes, there are failures at times. But
Okay.
but what you learn sometimes from your failures is what can help you to become successful. I mean, and that opportunity taught us a lot. One thing it has shown me is that the Detroit market is a very unique market in and of itself as well.
Okay.
But also building an organization from the ground up, where you go in and you have no one, and you have to hire everyone from the porter up to your all your service manager, parts managers, sales people, office people. That's a huge undertaking.
That is a task in and of itself.
And being African Americans, it could be a greater challenge for us at times to hire and keep good people.
Okay.
Because at times, I think we're forced to sometimes overpay for good talent.
Okay.
But it was part of the business. But like Mark was saying, I think part of it is trying to create an organization where we don't want to be seen as a black dealership. We're a dealership.
Right. Okay.
We're a Ford dealership, and that's what we want to be seen as. We're there to service and take care of our customers and provide a great new and used car buying experience
Okay.
for our customers.
All right. And an outstanding quality product at a highly competitive price, outstanding service. I think that's the key. Yeah, so those are the keys, and that's actually one of the things that I've learned as my son and I got involved in the world of nonprofit business. That we call it nonprofit, but if you want to be able to continue to provide the services and generate the resources that you provide for the community, then even though you call it a nonprofit, you sure better be profitable. And that's one of the things that we've learned is that we've had to model our business and structure it such that we're providing a high quality product at a competitive price with outstanding service. And it's just that whether it's a good or a service that you provide, the same keys stand in place. And as you indicated, human resources is just a major undertaking. And then as you talked about the accounting elements of it and being able to manage the finances, and then there's the sales and marketing end of it, and just all of the elements of the business that it takes to be successful. So I really congratulate the two of you. And one of the things that I marvel at is that your family's ability to have a succession. Many businesses, whether they are minority owned or not, one of the things happens is that the succession planning. The children are not interested and don't have the same interest that the parent has, so therefore I can't pass on my shop. And I guess I'd ask you guys, what was it about the automotive retail business that captured your eye, that motivated you to stay in, and are you trying to do the same thing to pass it on to the next generation? And I know you have a son. I know you guys.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I think the main thing that happened to us is being young enough, one, to see our father and what it actually afforded him, and was able to afford him at a relatively young age. When he got involved, I think he was 53. So to be able to see that and see the lifestyle it provided, one, and then because it's funny, he used to joke, I was an engineer in sort of my first career before I went back to school and then ultimately came into the business. But I used to always want to go live in California or go live in New York and just do something a little different. And he used to always joke that one day you're going to realize, what side of it, where your bread is buttered.
Yeah.
And the point was, I never had a thought or was looking to go do something different. I hoped to always one day be in the business, but I know my brother had gone in it before I did, so not really knowing what that was going to be or the position would be per se. Like I said, I always knew that's what I wanted to do, but at the same time, I had to learn. But ultimately, again, I think it's the fact that you see what it provides, but more importantly, being mature enough to see, as you mentioned, other families and other situations that others have gone through in a similar type entrepreneurial space, and the business is no longer there. I mean, I was fortunate to be, just over 30 when I came into the business. So as a result, again, a lot of these families we knew that we thought were pretty well to do growing up, and they had these types of opportunities, and they sort of squandered them. So I think by it happening a little later in life, for me, I can't necessarily speak for Edmund, but at the same time, being a little bit older and being a little more wise, I was able to appreciate it more.
Sure.
And therefore, I was more motivated to want to take what was, in front of me, as opposed to trying to go out and sort of reinvent the wheel.
Okay.
Well, for me, I'd say it was a little bit simpler. Mustangs.
Okay.
I was 24 years old and loved Mustang GTs.
Okay.
And my dad got in the business, and I remember one day he came home. I had just bought I believe it was like an 82 GT.
Okay.
And he came home and he said, "Well, hey, how would you like to drive a newer Mustang?" I looked at him like, "Huh?" And this was like 1987, and it's like, yeah, they had just changed the Mustang, to this new body style. So, so I always had a love for Mustangs. So all of a sudden it was like Fords and Mustangs, But, it's just a lot more to this business than just cars. I love of cars because I remember when I went through the NADA training program, and I remember the director at the time said, if you don't love this business, get out. Right. Because it's a tough business.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's so competitive.
So the love comes and goes, but as Mark also stated, though, but it's a great business. It allows us the flexibility that I'm sure we wouldn't have in a corporate world in terms of the freedom of expression and other things.
Right.
So
yeah, and another thing that I know that your company does, and it's impacted me tremendously, is the community outreach that you do and have an opportunity to do that's above and beyond selling cars. Obviously, you have a footprint and an impact on the community by providing quality transportation opportunities for individuals. But another thing that Avis Ford does that kind of behind the scenes that a lot of people may not be aware of is your philanthropic impact on the community, and you want to talk about that a little bit. And before you do, I just want to say how much we appreciate the sponsorship in our prostate survivors golf outing. You helped sponsor our evening of elegance as we recognized our 5 years of being in business, and even now with your sponsorship of our show. We really appreciate it. So, but you might want to talk about.
Well, yeah, we learn from the best. I mean, as Edmund mentioned earlier, our father's career path went sort of from the private sector, or I'm sorry, the public sector to the not-for-profit sector, which is where he really made his big inroads. He and Larry Doss, I mean, they really, in a sense, created New Detroit in terms of what it is and what it provides today. Back in that time, a lot of it was tied to obviously economic development for minority business, but at the same time, there's a community outreach piece to that as well. So that was one area that I always felt sort of a need to participate. And for instance, now, we get asked probably every day to do and support some kind of event, but what we like to do is things that are a lot more personal, kind of like what we do with yourself, or like I don't really like to do what we call blanket sponsorships, where your name is on some banner or whatever, because that sometimes gets lost in the minutia. But ultimately, if there's one kid I can help or one kid I can support, that tends to go a long way, because and then they also can say, hey, I know that guy that owns that dealership. And I'm not saying everybody needs to drive a Ford, but in the event that you do, it's always good to know somebody in the business.
Absolutely.
So that's just one way that we try to support. We're all in the same fraternity here, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and through that, I've learned a lot as far as mentoring and other organizations I've been involved with. So I've just sort of always had a sense or a nature of giving back.
And I want to say that you guys also serve as a tremendous positive role model each day in just each step of life as you are out and moving about, that our young people here in the city of Detroit and throughout Wayne County have an opportunity to see successful black young men that are doing it, that are contemporary, that are in their walk of life, and that they can see that are reaching out and touching the community on such a positive basis. Once again, I just want to let you know how much we appreciate you, and we thank you for taking the time to come on to the show.
Absolutely.
We thank you for sponsoring the show. We thank your father in his absence, and we, if you'd like to purchase a copy of his book, how do you get that?
I believe it's still on Amazon.
Yes, okay, on Amazon.
But we keep a few copies at the dealership as well.
I was good. Okay, I was trying to lead you into that.
So you can always come by the dealership.
There you
can
go.
find your copy.
There you go, and the address,
which is 29200 Telegraph
There you
Road, conveniently located minutes off 696.
There you go, and while you're picking up a copy of the book, you can walk around and
some of the cars.
take a look at some of those fine products that you have out there on the floor, and you can meet the proprietors. They're usually there, so that's a wonderful opportunity. And you let out the secret I was going to mention. Usually on every show I tell one secret about my guests, but you let it out that we're all members of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity, as well as your father.
Absolutely.
And we are very proud to be a part of that, and we just thank you so much. So we'll be right back after this message to wrap things up. And once again, a professional message from Avis Ford. And once again, thank you guys for being on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You will love your Avis Ford, because at Avis Ford, we make it easy to get you your no money down monthly payment right over the phone. We call it Shop by Phone, and it's the best way we know to get you your payment options fast. You want leather and a sunroof? How about an upgrade to all-wheel drive? Just give us a call. Shop online, shop by phone, or visit us at Telegraph at 12 Mile. Call 1-800-SHOP-FORD.
All right. Once again, thank you for watching Urban Review. If you have an opportunity, make sure you go to the Center for Urban Youth and Family Development website. Oh, I got all choked up there. Go to our website, which is cuyfddetroit.org, and you can pick up a copy of my story. I have a story to tell, which is my life story, and it chronicles my life as being a person that was abandoned at age 2 and raised in the foster care system, able to make it through the system and to be able to be part of that 2% of all youth out of that transition out of foster care that have an opportunity to go to college. But the reason we started the Center for Urban Youth and Family Development is because 65% of the boys that age out of the system transition into prison. 45% of the young women that age out of the foster care system transition into homelessness, prostitution, and substance abuse. And we work every day to try and change those statistics, and we're happy that we've had some positive impacts. And as each show, we like to leave you with the message, first of all, the message that Nelson Mandela said to himself every year, every day for 27 years, and that is, out of the night that covers me, black as a pit from pole to pole, I think whatever gods there be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud, and under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloodied but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the minutes of the years finds, and shall find me unafraid, for it matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the captain of my fate and the master of my soul. And most importantly, as part of our mantra, that you can't be a quitter, you can't give up, you have to persevere, you have to see it through. When you're up against some trouble, you meet it squarely face to face. Plant your feet, set your shoulders, lift your chin, and take a brace. And if the worst is bound to happen in spite of all that you can do, remember you may fail, but you may conquer, see it through. Black may be the clouds about you, and your future may seem grim, but don't let your nerve desert you. Keep yourself in fighting trim. And if it's veiled to try and dodge it in spite of all that you can do, remember running from it will not save you, so you've got to see it through. Even hope might seem but futile when with troubles you're beset, but remember, you're simply facing what other men have met. So if you fail, fall still fighting, and don't give up whatever you do. Keep your eyes to the front, your head high to the finish, and see it through. Thank you for watching Urban Review, and we'll see you next week.